Hi guys, Jamie and Simon here from One Day Web. Welcome to our new podcast series. We've called it Ground Control in keeping with our kind of whole rocket launch, launching a website kind of into the sky theme. And actually what we're going to be doing with these podcast series is kind of giving you an insight into, the industry of kind of web design, content creation, web development, a little bit about what we do at One Day Web, but mainly trying to help you, solve some kind of issues that we've encountered, I guess, over the last kind of couple of years while we've been developing our own company really with One Day Web.
Yeah, hi, it's Simon here, and really the what created One Day Web.
How did we kind of find solutions to some of these?
Place to start, really.
I think so, mate. And I think what I'm going to do at this point is hand it over to you to talk about some of the problems that you overcame or had to try and overcome with actually getting content from clients. Because as we all know, when you've got your website, the hardest thing, right, is actually getting the content from the client. And Simon is much better equipped to talk about that than me because I do videos, photography, I do the creative, fun stuff, right? No offence. So I'm going to hand this over to Simon and he's going to talk to you a little bit about content creation. We've got 10 minutes on the clock. These are nice, short, snappy pieces for you to digest.
How much is left now, though?
Oh, yeah, because I've been talking. Yeah, you've got about 8.5 minutes, mate, so crack on.
Right, okay. So what it all started, we moved into offices together and you can imagine the old 60s, 70s style wood chip wallpaper all over the place and new creative style companies. We didn't want wood chip wallpaper all over the place.
It's horrific, mate.
So we took on the task of stripping the wood chip wallpaper off the wall, which it's worked out really well. We've got a nice environment, but at the time it's like, oh gosh, when is this ever going to end?
Yeah, it was not good.
There was about 4 layers, wasn't there?
Yeah.
It was mad. So yeah, we're stripping wood chip wallpaper off the walls and we're just sort of having a bit of a grumble, I suppose. It's talking about the challenges that we're facing in the business, and I'm kind of talking about website development and the holdbacks and why are websites not launched and why are they taking weeks, sometimes months, sometimes to get the most basic of website live. And it always comes down to content. There's always delays. It's usually, we'll probably talk in this a bit later on about emails and how email can cause some of that. But it's this communication. It goes on for a long time, and really basically I put up the question. Well, if I had the content given to me, I could create a website in a day.
Because you weren't getting the content from clients?
Yeah,
sure.
Because building the website's easy, really. Once you've got the content, because it's our craft, because we know what we're doing.
And the content in your world is consistent of like copy, photography, video, imagery, that sort of stuff. Yeah,
absolutely. And it's stuff you don't at the beginning of building a website. You don't necessarily need. You can build a wide frame, and you can say, well, we're going to suggest one or two paragraphs here, and an image here, and a video here. But obviously, when this is something we'll get onto. But when you start building websites and you start this email conversation, what starts as one paragraph becomes 2. What starts as one video becomes 2. What starts as one image becomes a slideshow. And what seems as simple things to begin with become larger moving forward, and that's what puts it back. And it's like, I don't like this photo, so we sent you this one. I've actually seen in the website isn't quite what we expected. Can we try this one? And that all takes time, and that puts the project back. And with copy, people read it back and they go, maybe if it sounded a bit like this. And sometimes you find the first initial pictures, copy, and videos they send across absolutely fine. It's not damaging to their brand. It's not saying something incorrectly. It's just they've got time to look over it. And that puts us as developers back, because even for the most basic things, we're waiting. And so you move away from that project and you start on another one in the meantime, and then before you know it, you've got a lot of projects. And so One Day Web was kind of the answer to that. When we were stripping the wood chip wallpaper and saying I could build a website in a day if I had the content, Jamie obviously saying,
I can do the content. Hello, that's me. I can do that. Yeah.
And if the client's here, I can film them. I can photograph them. Let's give this a try. I think straight away we came up with the name One Day Web. Yep. It was almost it's
a bit of a Ron Seal approach, that, isn't it? It does what it says on the tin.
Absolutely, and it rolled off the tongue, So, it was great. So the domain name was available. We went straight into Setup Limited and got going, and we set up 3 trials. I've got to be honest, in the back of my mind I was thinking this can't work. Nobody else has done it. There must be a reason. There's a reason why websites take 5 weeks to 4 months. Yeah. But theoretically, I can build a website in a day if I've got the content, and you're providing the. So we needed the trials, and the trials were such a great success. They were absolutely fantastic. They exceeded my expectations greatly. It just worked, and it answered all of the questions that I found difficult to answer there are obviously larger websites. It's not the answer for everything.
There's limitations, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Of course.
There's only so much you can get in a day. But for startups or new businesses, serial entrepreneurs, for example, they've gone through the process 4 or 5 times. They're fed up with that traditional method, and so this is refreshing, and they can see their websites and their businesses starting much quicker. You almost need the idea, a logo, and within days or weeks you've got a business, and then you can start doing that scope creep. You can start adding, if you don't feel comfortable with the text or you want to add more images, you can do that after the website's live, as long as the content isn't incorrect. It's fine. You can
Done is better than perfect in a lot of cases, right?
Exactly, definitely. And you can change that later. But if you're waiting 2 months before your website's launched, you're losing 2 months of your website not only not being there to get clients, but the web industry, particularly for new businesses, it takes a good year or 2 before Google takes you seriously. So you need to start the game sooner.
Yeah.
Don't delay. Don't wait on that. Get started sooner. You're not going to have masses of traffic on the first day, although we've seen a big, because of what we're doing, people are really engaged with the launch, so we get a big buzz of people coming onto the website, which is something else that I've realised as well one day where.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, Simon. So actually what it sounds like then is that in the traditional kind of web development and web design world, and let's be clear here, there are differences between developers and designers,
yes.
which is a whole other episode.
Yes,
right? We best not get into that now. That's a whole other episode. But just to be clear, there's a definite distinction between the two. It actually sounds like, in the traditional web development market, it's almost like the kitchen sink syndrome, where everybody's just kind of like, okay, well, we're going to start with this, and then because they've got time to think about it and digest it and get opinions and actually have their mind changed by external sources, and maybe they're feeling a bit bad about it or good about it or whatever, they're actually then coming to the conclusion that actually, okay, I want to add this, I want to bolt this on, I want to add that. I mean, is that something that you find generally in your domain?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, yeah. You pinched my favourite phrase there.
Yeah, not bad. I'm pretty good at that.
Yeah, kitchen sink syndrome. Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of that approach of starting and just people want to chuck the kitchen sink at it, and sometimes you want to refine what it is that you're putting out there. That's it's very easy for people when they talk about their businesses to reel off 20, 100 different things that they do. We're all guilty of it. When a visitor lands on your website, they don't want all of that stuff. They want a short amount of stuff, and that's what being clear and concise at the beginning means. I mean, we've got other podcasts that will talk about content in more depth. We're probably going off on that a little bit, but I do want to touch on emails and communications that I think contributes to a lot of this. I mean, email is a fantastic invention, probably one of the greatest ever.
Keep it short, mate. Don't give us a history. We've got less than a minute.
Oh yeah, well, you remember back in the day when the internet was.
Oh my God.
So yeah, email is one of those things. It's a great invention, but sometimes it can be a problem, and it introduces challenges. A great interview with Simon Sinek on YouTube.
It's a great video.
He's talking about naming the book, his next book, Where Leaders Eat Last. And himself and the publishers are sending emails to each other, and it's getting messy and it's taking time and neither are agreeing and it's back and forth. Then by chance they're in the same area and they meet up and they have a half-hour conversation. They come up with the name of the book because they're in front of each other and they're having a conversation. They can see facial expressions, they can see whether it's being agreed with or not, which email doesn't do. So you can send an email saying I would like that image over to the left, and you'll take it literally, you'll move that image over to the left. And then, whether that's the best example, but you kind of understand where, no, I didn't mean that image to the left, or I didn't mean that far, or I didn't mean, and you can't, or I wasn't sure about that. I was kind of asking asking whether I should or not. You can't gauge those things in an email quite the same way. And so the importance of having the person there, talking with the body language and understanding. Do they mean what they say, or are they unsure? Which
gives instant feedback for content, doesn't it? Bringing it back to content, it actually does give you that instant feedback on, is the content right? Are you happy with it? Does it fit your brand? Does the video look good? Is the copy right? Yeah. And you're getting that immediate response rather than waiting for days and days.
And it's building and forming that relationship with the person that's critical for creating content and reducing the time that it takes.
Great stuff. Forward. Well, cheers, Simon. That's great insight there, actually, into maybe a couple of ways that if you're listening to this and you're struggling with actually getting content yourselves, if you're in a similar industry to ours, then hopefully that's kind of given you a bit of an insight and a little bit of insight into our journey as well. So this has been the first episode. Next time we've got me. I'm going to be talking for the majority of the next one, so sorry in advance about that, because trying to keep to this 10-minute time slot is going to be difficult. I'm going to be talking about content as an afterthought, so reasons why really you should be thinking about the video photography, all of that stuff prior to the website actually being launched, and actually why it's important to look at this stuff, look at the content as your website is being developed, so that it's quite a cohesive strategy and not something that you're just thinking about afterwards because you need it.
I think that'll be really valuable. Yeah.
Good
Looking
stuff.
forward to it.
Cool. See you next time.
Thank you.